Hi, let's take a look at giving feedback in our Daily Detangler. As you know, we're involved in a lot of transformational work, and here are three things that are really working across our team as we're giving feedback. One is relating to the specific situation. For example, calling out an interaction between two people on one of our videos that we're watching, playing the tape, sharing what's happened in that interaction specifically, and then three, reinforcing what's working to build off of the interaction and provide forward momentum to people like Scott who are catalyzing action and momentum and change. So let's break each one of these down. First, relating to the situation. What's working here is grounding your feedback with empathy to a specific interaction by making it specific. For example, having a position in a video, stopping the video, and then calling out what you're seeing happening from your lens and being as specific as possible about that situation and about that interaction is really helpful when you're providing feedback because it makes it contextual and it makes it clear as to why you're providing the feedback. Another thing that's working is embracing your role. Not all of us have the same role. We're all here for a reason. Embracing your role as somebody who's providing clarity or architecting or detangling and leading with that to say from my lens or from my role, here's what I'm seeing. That allows people like Scott who are trying to drive change an ability to get a lot of different inputs from people who are specifically providing a lens to an overall situation. Another thing that's working is when people like Joe or Dave repeat back what they're hearing or what they're seeing, and they call out why they like what they're seeing. This allows people like Scott to say, look, when I'm engaged in this dialogue, this is working for the architect. This is working for our tester, Joe and Dave, because with their lens, it's relevant to them and they're telling me why. And that helps relate to the situation and the context of that situation. And that's really helpful when providing feedback. Another thing that's working is playing the tape. As you know, we're using a lot of video. And this can actually work when you're not using video because what you can do is you can stop the interaction by being very specific, as we just talked about. And you can say, look, with this specific video, here's an exchange. I remember there was an exchange between Scott and Joe about what one of our clients, Jen, was experiencing. Joe actually shared or called out that interaction. He also shared what he thought was happening and why it was happening and how Jen might be relating to what was happening from the leadership team at the client. Joe provided his inputs into that situation. He used his background, his roles, and his role and his experiences in the past to relate to that situation. And he really paused and kind of drew out the whole situation and immersed himself in it. And then what he did also was help play some examples through about what might happen going forward. And he talked about how he could perceive this being actioned or gave tips and advice to Scott on how Scott could help move things forward into action by playing the tape or stopping that interaction and pausing that and creating space for that interaction to be dissected, to provide the feedback and share what worked. So when you think about that, Joe has an ability in the feedback he's giving to share what's worked. He also is able to list out some options. He's also able to share what he thinks can happen next and then provide some examples of or some tips on ways in which it could roll out or be actioned. When you also think about what's working, and what I want to call out is reinforcing what is already going well. When you're providing feedback, it's really important to not necessarily try to redirect or educate somebody. What's working in the feedback now, because we're moving at such pace and there's so much complexity and change happening, is providing these interactions and why they matter, sharing what you like and why you like it, calling out, I really like it when you said this because, and giving the why and the because you liked it. And then using the concept of yes and to build off of what the interaction is and perhaps even provide additional color, additional context, additional examples based on your experience in a like situation. Reinforcing what's working is a great way to provide feedback because it helps us anchor on the change that we're trying to drive by creating a counterbalance or a counterweight to all the muscle memory internally. Because it's really easy in business to focus on what's not working. We have to be really good at defining what is working and calling that out in our feedback. What this reminds me of is principle number 5, the idea of getting to yes quickly. When you think about building off of one another and also even the concept of yes and, that's a way in which we're living this principle to build off of each other. So what does this have to do with our team? Well, because we're balancing this idea of change with status quo, and the more we drive change, the more we're asking our clients to be heroic and to be smart about and navigating the change that they're on. That balancing act requires a lot of calibration. The information that we share, the way in which we share that information with each other is a positive energy to balancing and staying the course. It's not about what you know, and sharing what you know or sharing what you're learning. It's about providing feedback that drives progress and momentum, that helps us anchor the change, that helps us anchor being heroic and also being smart with our clients. It's multiplicative when people do that. And when people get in the foxhole as they're listening and engaging and providing the feedback, it's really, really valuable to the person receiving the feedback because it allows us to get better and be proactive with what we're doing. So that's been your Daily Detangler. I look forward to the next one. If you have any ideas for detanglers that you'd like to hear, let me know. Take care.